Welcome back to Commander's Call, everybody. A lot to cover in Commander's Land. We'll talk Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson, a new name for the practice facility, healthy players back on the O line, and of course, performances in the second preseason game against the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm Sam for Ben. Stick.
Looking to keep it. And his great move on his feet and in for the touchdown. Oh, what a move. Throws down the sideline for Terry McLaurin. McLaurin is loose. Lightning strikes twice in Washington.
Hey, give me two claps and a break flair.
Welcome back, everybody. It's been a busy week here in Commander's Land. Obviously, we had our second preseason game Monday night against Cincinnati Bengals. Did not come out victorious. However, by the play of a lot of players, we did. Also, want to talk about Terry, B Rob, and more. So I guess we'll just go right into the elephants in the room. Terry activated off PUP, like we mentioned last episode. Still very, very murky about what's going on in that situation. So we're trying to read the tea leaves. For people that have just started listening to us, and I know we're a quite new podcast, anything that we speculate on, that we are going to make it very clear that it's a speculation. We really only try to tell you guys exact truths, and if it's anything that's in question or opinions, like, we're going to be very, very clear and upfront with that. And like, we just want everybody to know that that's the basis of this podcast, is the facts. And when we're reading this Terry McLaurin situation, it is very hard to give subjective facts on certain situations within the major situation itself. So reading the tea leaves, keep in mind that a lot of this is speculation, and just we're going off of what's available to us and what's available to everybody else out there. So we don't have any secret information. We're just trying to figure out what it all means. Obviously, Terry, like I said, activated off PUP. Didn't show up to the game, which was very interesting to me, Ben. Uh, Especially when you see Trey Hendrickson, who's over on the Cincinnati sideline, who traveled to Landover, Maryland from Cincinnati for this game. He's in what I would consider a longer and worse contract dispute than over
Much,
here. His
much
head coach,
worse.
he called his head coach a liar, but he's still on the sideline, running up and down the sideline, cheering on his teammates. I'm not sure if that was planned by the team or if that was something advised to Terry by his counsel. Either way, not a good look. Um, no show to practice today. However, Dan Quinn did mention in his presser that they have a process, and this is a purely procedural thing with him of ramping up and getting back to play. He said he's doing conditioning tests, stop, start. I guess they're testing his ligaments, his speed, making sure he doesn't cramp up immediately, pop a hamstring. But Dan Quinn did leave a tidbit and say he's healthy. So this could be the last press conference we see where they're holding back the cards a little bit, because I'm not sure how much longer they can hold him without us really being able to tell.
Yeah, I'm not all that concerned that Terry wasn't at the game. It's definitely not the best look, but I saw a couple really good points. Of one, it's because it would be nice to have him there for morale, but he doesn't really need to be there, and it was team excused, so it's not like he was just holding out. I'm sure if the team said we want you there, he would have been there. But the other thing is, how many times did they show Trey Hendrickson on the sideline and talk about his situation and
Right.
bring up his stats from last year and make a big deal of it?
Right.
And they did that a little bit for Terry, but it would have been a whole lot worse if he was there on the sideline. And I think that was just an extra distraction they didn't really want to have to deal with during the game. So I said, Terry, stay at home. We don't really care if you're here or not. It doesn't make a difference to us. We
I
don't
think you
need the
raised a
extra
good point
distraction.
there.
You don't need the extra distraction.
Yeah, I think you raised a good point there, Ben. And that very well could be the case, but I'm trying to look at the other side of the coin too, as to where could this be possible? could it be possible that their side is trying to exercise what they perceive as another force of leverage? And maybe it's not as good as we were thinking it's heading towards. I would wager to believe that, what you said is likely the truth, especially given the B Rob situation. I know they're not correlated, but the way it's being handled over there, and we'll get into that, would kind of make what you said make a lot of sense, even more sense than it already makes. So I would agree with you there. And uh, it'll be really telling within the next, especially by next week after this Ravens game, because they only have one more day of practice tomorrow. They have referees coming in for this practice. Um, Seems like they're going to be handling it pretty hands-on since they don't have the Ravens joint practice anymore. So I don't really look at tomorrow as expectation to see Terry on the field. However, I would like to hear a little bit of progress from the mouth of the coach, although I know it's not really the head coach's job to discuss contractual issues. Um, it is what it is. I'm kind of fatigued of talking about Terry at this point, and I think
I'm the
by
same.
yeah, I think everybody is, and I think by next week, he's got to be on the practice field because next week you start practice for week one,
The
and
Giants, right?
the Giants and a divisional game, and every game's important, especially in the beginning of the year, especially with the schedule that we have. I know I've mentioned, you've mentioned, can't afford to start slow.
No,
Moving on to Brian Robinson, though. A lot of rumors swirled about this, and I have to eat crow here. Last episode, just a couple days ago, I denounced the rumors. As I said, I don't think that it's happening. I really don't see why. And I'm wrong. I was totally wrong. And this has been a very, very fast moving situation with Brian Robinson. Uh, I just something had to have happened behind the scenes that we don't know about. And from a few people that I have spoken to, this was actually in the cards towards the end of last year. They were not very happy with his effort, I heard, in a couple games, namely the Detroit game. Um, and the injuries, not really his fault, but the best ability is availability. And it's just interesting because I would like, why would they not give Rodriguez more opportunities before this when we're all screaming for him? But
right.
obviously they like Rodriguez more right now. And it seems that Brian Robinson excused from practice again today. I think we see a trade within the next day or two.
Yeah, I mean, when I made surprise cut lists a while ago, just to kind of prepare for the off season, and B-Rob was on that list. Not because I thought it was super realistic, but just because I was like, maybe they'll fall in love with the young guys and decide, you know what, we'd rather roll with the younger guys and Eckler and J Mac and let B Rob go somewhere else to get a 1 year head start on proving it to the rest of the league somewhere else.
Well,
So I'm
just to
not
be
super
clear,
surprised.
Eckler is the oldest one in that room, but sorry.
Eckler is the oldest one, but he's also the maybe the best one, and you need a
For
veteran
sure. Oh yeah.
leader. And Brian, B Rob doesn't strike me as the veteran leader of the group. There's a clip I saw going around on Twitter. I'm not sure if you saw it, but I don't know. I don't even know what game it was from. But Zach Ertz was mic'd up, and B Rob went up to Zach complaining like, "Oh, you can't get the real Brian if they're not giving me the touches that I need. I can't get going if you're not giving me the ball." And so maybe they like Brian, and maybe they think he's a great runner. Maybe they think he's physical, but maybe he's just not a team player. Maybe they don't see him as the kind of guy who's okay getting 6 carries a game because Bill's getting 12 and Eckler's getting 4 and J Max getting 3, and maybe they want Brian to be that 5 to 10 guy instead of 15 to 20 guy like he's been throughout his career. Maybe he just doesn't want that. And then if that's the case, it's the best to let him move on and go be somewhere where he can be the lead back. And I do think that Chris Rodriguez is not as good as B Rob, but he can do just about everything B Rob can do. And so if you need to replace B Rob, like Chris Rodriguez is a fine option. And then everyone else there is much more explosive than B Rob is.
That would make a lot of sense. And I think it's less of him being a team player more than the fact that it seems they want to roll with a committee. Like maybe B Rob contrary to what I previously thought, maybe B Rob isn't suited for a committee. Maybe B Rob is a guy that you need to run 25 yards or 25 times a game, 3 yards in a cloud of dust until he finally starts breaking one. Maybe.
But he
Uh,
has the injury history of a
correct.
committee running back, and that's the other
Correct.
concern is you can't hurt the same leg in three different spots in 1 year and expect to be taken seriously as a lead back. Like it's unfortunate, and I know it's not completely his fault, but you just have to be reliable, and he's not super reliable in this league.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I definitely wish him the best. Real quick, maybe some teams that could potentially trade for him. Obviously, I think if they can't find a trade partner, he's going to be cut. Like the writing's on the
I
wall.
think it's
They've
hit the
done
point of no
everything,
return.
but yeah, it is. They've done everything but say it. I mean they exactly. They said everything but hey, he's off the team. Miami Dolphins. I don't know how true this is. It is not from a credible source, but I have seen it floated around. Could be interesting with Devon Achan, expected to miss some time with a lower body injury. Dallas needs running back. Chicago is an interesting fit, as much as I'd hate to see it. Um, Ben Johnson ran the 1-2 punch of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery when he was offensive coordinator in Detroit. Now he has DeAndre Swift, and not that great of options to be the Thunder to the Lightning there. Um, Drafted a guy, Monagan guy. I have a hard time pronouncing his name. I apologize. And then you have Roshan Johnson. Outside of that, not really a whole lot. So that could be an option there. Chicago hasn't been shy about making trades at all. Like they are definitely trying to load up as much as they can. Um,
And we
I
know
could,
Dallas is not shy about throwing out
and
late
Dallas
draft picks
isn't
for
either.
bad players.
Dallas is not either. And in our court, Adam Peters has proven that he's not shy to trade with division rivals. Um, whether you like the way that they've worked out or not, he definitely has not been trigger happy in that department. Traded Jahan Dotson to the Eagles for a third round pick, swap picks to trade to get Mikey Sanders still, where the Eagles ended up taking Cooper DeJean. Um, so the history is definitely there, but I just kind of wait and see. Houston's another one I could maybe see with Joe Mixon looking
Houston's
like he's
interesting
going
because
to
they
miss a lot
have
of time.
the two guys they have after Mixon, or they brought in Nick Chubb, who knows what that's going to be like for him coming off the
Right.
injury, but a very similar style to B Rob, I guess, and like he's a power runner. And then they have Damian Pierce. I believe he's still around.
He
I
is,
don't
yeah.
like. I think this might be his last year of his rookie contract, but he's also the same kind of bruiser up the middle running back that B Rob is. I just don't know
Hurt
what
quite a
value he
bit.
has there. The one, yeah, the one other team I'd throw in there is the Panthers. I've seen some
I could see the
potential
Panthers,
interest
yeah.
from because they have Chuba Hubbard, who's a great lead back, and they really want Jonathan Brooks to work, but he just keeps getting hurt and hurt, and
Two
so
ACLs in a
B
row.
Rob
You
could be
can't,
a good,
yeah.
yeah, B Rob could be a good, like Thunder to what Chuba Hubbard kind of is as a good all around back, and
Right.
B Rob could be that short yard specialist. So I think Dallas honestly makes the most sense fit wise. I think he would be good there. I don't like Miami as an option for him. Just that offense does not really cater to a slower power back
Right.
because they like to run a lot of wide zone and
Yeah, it
stuff to the
doesn't seem like
outside
a
and
great
tosses.
offensive
And
fit.
no, like he'd be like it would be like when we put Jordan Reed on the field. Everyone knew we were passing because he couldn't block to save his life.
Yep.
If they put Brian on the field, they're running up the middle
Yep.
because what other reason would they have to take HN off the field and put B Rob on there other
Right.
than to run it up the middle? So I don't
Yeah.
think that'll be a great scheme fit there.
I don't either. And to wrap the segment up about Brian, I think the trade that we should expect to see will be, if a trade does materialize, will be to a playoff contending team because he is in the last year of his deal. It will be a 1 year rental. I think it'll be a playoff contending team, and I think compensation will be in the ballpark of no higher than a 6 round pick with the potential of a pick swap or a player for player trade. I can't see them getting any more than a six, given the fact that it's a running back and he's in the last year of his deal and he's not really a feature back. He's going to probably, I mean, where would he start? where would he start right away? Dallas, maybe?
Dallas is
Is
probably
he
the only
beating out
one.
Javante Williams? Is he?
I think he would. He's had a more consistent career than Javante Williams,
Yeah,
given, I mean, not that a 700-yard best season is super amazing, but consistency wise, like he's shown a little more than I'd say Javante Williams has. I think he's probably got him edged out a little bit.
maybe. I mean, it's
But
kind
that
of
might
hard
be
to
the only
tell.
team in the league he'd start on right now is the Cowboys.
Maybe
And then
Houston.
maybe the Bears. Maybe the Bears. But because DeAndre Swift is not that great. They have the same issues. Just Swift is more of the speed guy and Robinson's the power guy, but they both have awful vision.
Most teams have at least two running backs now. You know, it's much more
Yes.
running back by committee league than featured lead backs. Your featured lead backs are rare breeds, and Brian Robinson. No disrespect to him. I liked him when as a player when he was here, but he's not that. Stick around. We'll talk about players, studs and duds coming up next. This is Commander's Call. Welcome back to Commander's Call. Obviously, we know the Commanders lost to the Cincinnati Bengals 31-17 on Monday night in the second preseason game. Now, even though the score showed a loss, I think overall team play was a win. Would you agree with me, Ben?
I would agree. Just from an energy perspective, I think I said on the last pod, the preview pod, that having the starters go out first and start off good is going to give the backups energy to continue with. And you saw that energy that was lacking in the Patriots game, where they just got destroyed by the Patriots starters right off the bat, and they never really recovered from that. Where this week the starters came out, had a good drive on offense, and had a good defensive drive. I'm sure we'll get into it. Good defensive drive overall with some bad penalties and some unfortunate plays that let the Bengals score. But the energy was high. The backups came in. They maintained the energy, played hard. And I'd say overall it gave us the evaluating we need in a preseason game like it's supposed to.
Yeah, for sure. And four plays, touchdown, starters off the field from the offense. I mean, you love to see that. Jaden Daniels didn't even throw a pass. Drop back once. Had a gave me a little mini heart attack for a second, that 14-yard touchdown, but I'm starting to come around to the fact that Jaden is one of those players like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, where that's how he plays, man. You can't really tell him to tone that down. He's going to do it. I just hope he stays safe because I don't think I don't think it's RG3 level. What's the word I'm looking for? Wildness, I guess, but I think he's more tactful with his scampering. However, I don't think it's something they're gonna ever coach out of him. And once his instincts take over, that's it. And I think I've watched enough of him to trust his instincts. So kind of is what it is at this
100%.
point. Debo Samuel,
Yeah,
sick run right off the rip,
it was
man.
great.
Right off
It
the
was good to
rip.
see. It was good to see.
Yeah, and I think it's something that's been kind of lost in the fray this training camp and mini camp and off season in general is not that I want him running the ball all the time, but like that was a reminder just how much of an actual weapon Debo is. Didn't see a lot of him running the ball or highlights of him running the ball out of camp because I mean, who wants to watch camp highlights of people running it? I mean, it's cool for a couple times, but passing plays I think are a lot more attractive that time of year.
For sure.
Lot of catches from Debo in the offseason and camp and everything. That was sick. But the first play, that end around right off a right tackle, he showed why they traded a fifth round pick for him.
I mean, Debo is one of those guys where you don't have to actually let him run the ball 6, 7 times a game. You just have to make the defense scared that he might run the ball 6 or 7 times a
Exactly.
game. He just this is like you said, we didn't do many of these in camp, but it felt like Cliff wanted to get this on tape for the Giants to watch. Like, hey, we will motion him and we will, hand him the ball.
That's a good
So
point.
just be ready for it. When we motion Debo, we might give it to him. We can't just come out in week one and motion him for the first time because you have to set it up. So that was like the setup play. It was to warn people that we might use Debo like that, and that you have to be on the lookout. It's the same way with Jaden. Like you run the occasional read option, so teams are scared that every time he hands that ball off, he might be holding it, and that opens up more lanes in the run game for the running back. And so motioning Debo in the backfield is going to open up more passing lanes for the pass. Or if they motion him out and that pulls a linebacker out of the box to open up for a run too. It's got to have that look on offense for defenses to give you the look you're looking for when you run those kind of plays.
That's honestly that's a really good point. I didn't even think of, setting film on, putting film on tape for for another team isn't something you hear like often, but as a setup, that makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. Obviously, we've mentioned Jaden, we've mentioned Debo, but let's go into studs and duds for the game. I'll do three, you do three. Um, or we'll split three between each
Okay.
other. Uh, Obviously, for me, my first one's going to be Chris Rodriguez. First play that
Yeah.
he gets a carry, 42-yard touch or 42 yards to the sideline. If he cuts it left, he might have scored, but it's preseason. I'm totally cool with him going on the sideline. Even during the season, I'm cool. Hold on to the ball. Uh, immediate enforcer of, oh, we want to trade B Rob. Wait, what? Here's
Here's
Chris
why we can.
Rodriguez, 42 yards. Okay, that makes some sense. Um, really happy for him being cut.
Oh, for sure.
If you would have asked me who would have stuck around from the Rivera era, and I want to make it clear, I don't blame any of those guys. It's not their fault where they were drafted. It's not their fault the situation they were drafted into. I wish them all the best. This isn't to pile on any of them because I've never made it to the NFL.
Right.
But
Right.
Chris Rodriguez is not a name that I would have had on my who's staying, who's going bingo card when Adam Peters took
Definitely
over.
not.
And already he was a seventh round pick, sixth, seventh round
I want to
pick,
say like six. I want to say sixth,
right, out of
but pretty late.
Kentucky. And he flashed. When he's been given opportunities, he's always seemed to take advantage of them. However, it just didn't seem like the team wanted to give him those opportunities. So the fact he's still here is awesome. I feel so happy for him. I remember last preseason, first carry he had of a game, might have been the first preseason game, he fumbled and they took him out. And one of the beat reporters did an interview with him after the game, and he just seemed so upset at himself. Naturally, um, I'm glad this team stuck with him, and he's gotten to this point where it seems like he's going to be able to contribute a whole lot to this team. I'll do the next one, then I'll let you do the last stud if you want to do that. My next
Yeah.
one is another obvious one, and that's Bill. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. Bill Merritt prefers to go by Bill. His first touch wasn't his first touch a touchdown, or was that his second
I
touch?
I think there was the mysterious fourth play on that first drive where you had the big Debo run, the big Rodriguez run, and then the big Jaden run. I think that fourth play might have been a Bill run,
Could have been.
but I forget about that play because of the three other plays that surrounded it.
Right.
But that
Regardless.
touchdown run was his first or second carry either
Right.
way.
And an honorable mention I got to throw out to John Bates, blocking two players at once,
For
proving
sure.
why
He's so good.
proving why I pounded the table that he is the best blocking tight end in the NFL because he is. That was sick. Shaquari Koski Merritt, Bill Merritt to the house. Um, another reason to solidify why they made the decision they did with B Rob moving forward. Now we got one stud left, and I want to pass it over to Ben because Ben has a take to attach along to this stud take as well.
Yeah, I'll save that one for my second one, but I will start with
Okay.
the first stud I was going to pick was going to be just the running backs in general. Just nice lump them together because they really did prove why we're willing to trade B Rob. But so the stud I'll stick with for our third one, I was going to say the UCLA linebackers. Came Medrano started in the absence of Wagner getting his, this vet rest, not playing in the preseason. And he was good out there, with the starters, looked energetic, didn't look out of place like you would expect a sixth round rookie to look on the starting defense. He looked pretty good. And then Ale Cajo got playing time early. And I saw him running around making plays, and I just assumed, oh, that must be Duke Riley because he was running around making plays in
I thought the
practice. And then
same.
after the game, people were like, oh yeah, 51, that's Cajo. I was like, damn, he was all over the field running around, good energy. So that's a name to look out for on probably on the practice squad this year. But if Jordan McGee can't get healthy and can't get things turned around this season, that could be a name to watch out for
Hmm.
moving forward.
For sure. Um, I meant to mention this earlier, but I'll mention it now. Brandon Coleman and McGee back to practice today, and Marcus Mariota. So team getting healthier. McGee needs to play in this third preseason game coming up, but we will preview that against the Ravens in a couple days. Now, Ben, I know you said you had one more stud. I hate to cut you off there. Sorry about that.
So, all good. So I'm sure if you're watching this, you may have seen my post on Twitter, maybe not, but I hinted at a hot take I may have that fans may not like. But I think the fan narrative on this player has started to shift with how he played last year. But I think a big stud coming out of this game is Andrew Wiley.
Yeah,
We
buddy.
talked about it Sunday when we put our post out that I predicted Andrew Wiley would start at left tackle because I view him as the backup swing tackle once Cosme's back and Allegretti can be the backup guard, swing guard if you want to call it that. And you were kind of like, oh, I don't want to see Andrew Wiley left tackle.
I
That's not going to
was.
be good. That Bill touchdown run, Wiley pulled from the left tackle to come all the way around and steal off the edge on the right side of the play. Just phenomenal effort, first of all. And just to nail that block, he misses that block, it's like a negative 2 yard gain.
Yeah.
So that's a guy, they just gave him a restructured deal for this third year because he had no guaranteed money. And this take is, I think he's going to get extended. And a lot of fans were calling for him to be cut after that first year, but Eric Bieniemy set him up to dry, set him out to dry, and set him up to fail. He never stood a chance blocking 56 times a game with
Yeah.
no help. Like no tackle is going to survive that. Even your Lane Johnsons and Peni Sewells, like they're not going to hold up that consistently for that many games. Like, can they do that maybe 3 games a year? They can block 60 times with no help, maybe. But every single game of the entire year, it's just not going to happen. But he's
Well,
proven that he's a quality backup and that he's probably going to get another 1 year deal to come back here and stick around.
I agree with you, and it's important to note that when he was in Kansas City, this narrative did not exist. Like they loved him in Kansas City, and he was a guard there, but forced into a tackle role because their offensive line was in shambles. And but he performed mostly well. And going back to your point, at Bieniemy having him drop back 56, 60 times a game, it seemed like, and continuity too, I think played a part. And now we're seeing the Wiley that Kansas City probably saw when they had him, where he is 2 years into this system now. He's been in Washington for 3 years, regardless of the fact that it's been different regimes. He's been here, so continuity I think would probably help that as well. And he's really settled in and asked and done everything that the coaches have asked him to do without a blink of an eye. And we know that the staff loves that. And he's doing
Yeah.
them mostly well. And to the point where he's a fringe starter. He's going to be starting on the line until Cosme gets back. Um, Cosme still available for week 1 as of now, but ACL tear in January.
It does seem that Allegretti is going to start at right guard if Cosme misses any time, which we didn't quite hit on the Cosme stuff. But if Coleman's healthy, he's at left guard, and they've been playing Allegretti at right guard all camp, which I
I
think that's just going to kind of solidify him as the guard until Cosme's back.
I did hear that they want Wiley at guard. I did hear that. So it's
I
something
think Coleman
something
being
close to
hurt kind of
watch.
screwed Wiley over in
I
that in
think
that
I think so
scenario.
too, and I think that that's the reason why we saw so much Allegretti out there. This is nothing against Allegretti, but I think Allegretti is going to fall into a backup rotational guard and backup center.
I think Allegretti is probably a top 10 backup guard in the league. You know what I mean? It's like pure backup, not
Yeah,
like fringe starter kind of guy, but just from a pure backup perspective, he's probably a
right.
top 10 guard and like
I
backup guard in the league.
agree.
And that's super valuable to have on the O line. And
Sure.
same with Wiley. He's probably also a top 10 like O line depth player. And those are super valuable guys to have around, even if we don't love them as a starter.
Very versatile, and I think especially with the addition of Noah Fant yesterday, that'll give the
George Fant,
opportunity. George Fant, I'm sorry, Noah
the
Fant's a
tackle.
tight end. George
Catch that
Fant,
before the internet does.
yeah. Uh, I think that gives the opportunity to move Wiley around too. It remains to be seen. Like there
It does.
was there was some or chirping, talking, speculation about perhaps a rotation at right tackle with Connerly, similarly to how they did it with Coleman last year. But based upon how Connerly's been playing too, I think he's your
He's
day
just
one.
been
I
awesome.
think I think he's your day one starter, no question, plug and play. Um, he's looked
Yeah, he's been
awesome.
fantastic.
He's looked awesome, and the knock on him was strength. He looked damn good in run blocking in these games, and albeit I know
He's
it's
just
against, he's a
he's so
stud.
quick, and I
Yeah,
feel like he's just hitting guys with enough momentum where you can be like if you look a lot of the guys in the NFL, like running back wise, that break the most tackles are the guys that are fast
right.
because they're just going so fast. Like when they hit you, it's like a it's like a train. I mean, trains are also pretty heavy, but but it's just when something hits you, when something hits you that fast, like you're gonna lose you're gonna
Right.
lose. And I just think that's kind of what Connerly's doing, but on a blocking perspective, where he's just so quick with his feet, getting out to hit the blocks that it doesn't matter if he doesn't have the strength because that momentum that he's going into the block with is kind of just like adding to the strength that maybe he's like lacking in like a pure perfect like a bench press perspective.
Right. And we're talking a lot about offensive line right now, but mostly because it's off season. Because when it gets to the regular season, if you're talking about your offensive line, it's usually in a negative in a negative tone. Um, I have every expectation that we're gonna kind of forget Connerly was a first round draft pick and be like, oh damn, that was a great block. And we're like, oh yeah, that's why he was drafted in the first round. Haven't talked about this guy in a while because he doesn't let anybody by. So yeah, very,
The
very
Bengals defense sucks for sure,
they
but we're
do.
missing three of our five starting linemen. So if that was
Yeah.
two of our five starting linemen, imagine what the full five starters are going to look like
Right.
against a good defense. So if the backups can hang with a bad starting defense, I'm so confident the starters can hang with at the very best and above average defense.
I agree. And as much as I would like to continue to talk about studs, we have to unfortunately move on to some duds of the game. Ben, why don't you lead us off?
I'm going to start off with, even though he didn't play, Jordan McGee, because I kind of talked about it. Those Kane Madrano and has looked so good in camp that it kind of, I feel like if he's going to stay healthy, it kind of bumps him up above McGee. They brought in Duke Riley to be the veteran guy, and if he's going to be consistent and healthy, I could see that maybe bumping him above McGee. And I think McGee's safe above, like I said, Cahoe for this year. But if McGee struggles to stay healthy this year, they don't love what they see from him in camp next year. You could look to see him replaced by a guy like Ali Cahoe or someone else they bring in. But if he's going to keep being injured and people behind him are going to keep performing well, then he's going to see that spot get, lost pretty quick.
Yeah, it's imperative that he gets on the field against the Ravens. It really is. Hopefully he can stay healthy because obviously his biggest impact is going to be in the regular season, but injuries are a concern. Staying in the linebacker group, I'll throw out a dud really quick. And as much as I hate to do this because he's probably my favorite player on the whole team, Frankie Louvu, man, what the heck are you doing, bro? They weren't even going to snap that ball, man. And after the NFC Championship game, look, maybe I'm being too hard on him. It's a preseason. If you're going to figure out how to time these things, do it
Right.
now, but do it now, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, one of these
That
days you're
penalty
going to hit
penalties
one
are a
and I'm going to
drive
be
killer.
like, hell yeah, bro. But until then, if you know they're not snapping the ball, watch the clock. Just watch the clock. And if they haven't like walked
That's the
away
biggest
from the
point. Is
line between 0 and 1, then go. But dude, come on. Like, I know it's preseason, but dud for me. Dud for me. Just giving people bulletin board material, bro. Don't do that.
I think we can agree on the last dud, and I'd just say it's QB3.
Yep.
I don't know, like
Sam Hartman specifically,
Josh Johnson
man.
started this week. I mean,
Yeah.
Josh Johnson's looked not good either. Like,
Josh Johnson
I
looks
don't
like a
think either of them have
QB3.
looked.
Sam Hartman doesn't look like he could play in the UFL. Like, no disrespect to you, Sam Hartman. I know you're a great hype man. I know you had shoulder surgery, so I don't know how that may be affecting your arm strength, but that was bad. That was really
Yeah,
bad. And
it's
it,
not
it was
good.
it was it was I know I texted you about it during the game, but I'm like, we got to get another arm in here just to at least give these receivers and tight ends opportunities to get reps because, like I think I posted the other day on Twitter, they had 10 total completions and I think 87 yards between both quarterbacks. And Jaden didn't throw a
Less than
pass.
100 between
Like
the two of them, which is
less than
awful.
100 yards between three quarterbacks. It's not Jaden's fault, so take it out of the equation. But still, man,
Right.
like still, uh, yeah, I mean.
I think we talked about it
Nobody's going to
off
be
air.
chopping at the bit to, they can cut him and get him back to the practice squad, no problem. But I
Right.
think the QB3 battle is over. It's going to be Josh Johnson if they even carry three quarterbacks. So, yeah, I
Like I
mean,
said, we talked about it off air, bringing in Jeff Driscoll back because I'm not
yeah,
really sure why we let him walk just to bring in Josh Johnson when Driscoll was fine last year from everything I heard. So I honestly feel like just don't even keep three quarterbacks. Just keep two. And if you really want a third one, bring Driscoll back and just like because he doesn't. I don't think he really needs all the reps to get warmed up. He's going to be the QB3. He's going to sit there dressed and not play all year. It'll be fine. And I do think we should still bring Hartman back to the practice squad because someone's got to throw to the practice squad and the scout team guys.
yeah,
Just keep him around for one more year at least because Jaden likes him. And then after
yeah,
that, figure it out whether it's a
couldn't hurt.
seventh round pick quarterback or a new UDFA or even maybe we try our hand at a bust, second, third round pick. Like maybe Will Levis is going to be cut next year. And,
Yeah.
maybe we want to try a guy like that for the third string quarterback.
Or they
So,
draft
but I don't
somebody.
know. Right, or like that's it. Like they super late round pick, sixth, seventh round UDFA, or bring in a. I don't. We don't need another veteran, assuming Mariota's still around. If he's not,
Nah,
we're going to need two new quarterbacks next year.
bring back Trace McSorley, man. I'm not even joking, dude. Like Trace McSorley would be a fine third string quarterback, I think.
bring Taylor Heineke back,
Why not? He might get cut.
and he's QB3. I want to say right now on the
Yeah.
Chargers. So
Yeah.
obviously Herbo is number one, and then they brought in Trey Lance, who I
Who's
have to
largely
imagine they
looks
want to keep
great.
around does
Who's
there.
looked great this preseason.
QB2.
Yeah. Trey
That could be a guy to
Lance,
watch out for going to one of those bad teams
honestly,
next
man,
year,
he's
like the
still only
Colts
like
or the
23
Saints.
years old or something like he's super
He's
young.
so young.
He's so young and he like played like 12 college games in the FCS. Like he was so raw coming out. That's why quarterback situations are so important as to where they're drafted and
It's also
talent's
why
talent's
I
one
don't
thing.
knock a guy like Jaden for having too much college experience.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Imagine if Jaden came out before it didn't even go to LSU. This came out after his Arizona State days and got drafted in the third or fourth round, and then just never even got a chance because he
Yeah,
didn't get that extra seasoning he needed.
it's
Like
very
some
true.
guys just need that extra time,
Very
especially on a
true, but
small
not
program like
everybody's
that.
Jaden, bro. Not everybody's Jaden.
Not everyone's 100%, but I think guys like Anthony Richardson, Trey Lance,
Oh
they could have
yeah.
used that extra
Those
year or
are
two in
those are two
college. Where
perfect examples.
Trevor Lawrence, yeah, he needed to go out exactly when he did.
Yeah.
Like Andrew Luck, I don't think played his full college career.
Andrew Luck didn't need
Like
to.
some guys, like you, right? Some guys, you're just him in the second year born. You're a first overall pick.
Right.
Like Arch
Agree.
Manning. Arch Manning seems like he might stick around for an extra year or two, but he doesn't need to.
They're gonna monitor situations over there in that camp. I think that's what their end game is. But
100%.
anyway,
Yeah.
time to wrap this up. Guys, I am Sam for Ben. This is Commander's Call. Come back later on this week. We will have out our pregame game preview of our last preseason game versus the Ravens. Follow, like, and subscribe. We are available on YouTube and all streaming platforms for audio. Again, I'm Sam for Ben. Thanks for coming.